on the Cambridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State Athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletics teams and administration each week. Presented by Cambridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey Cardinal fans, welcome back into This Week in Ball State Sports. We have a great show lined up. Head coach Mike New joins us of Ball State football. Kelli Phillips of women's volleyball also joins us. The season is dwindling fast. Only a couple of weekends left in the women's volleyball season. The Cardinals fighting for a top spot. But of course, we start off with Director of Athletics, Jeff Mitchell. Jeff, appreciate your time as always, and welcome back to the pod.
Mick, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So Jeff, let's just dive right into this. We'll start off with cross country hosting at the Mid-American Conference Championships. Really good to see the facility staff put everything together, the department come together and make an event like that happen.
Well, it was a beautiful day. That helped.
Yeah.
As it was not a cloud in the sky, and temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, eventually warmed up into the mid 60s that day. So beautiful conditions for running, and to host a championship event on campus is pretty special. And so I do credit our facility staff that works not only in athletics, but also our facilities group that supports athletics, that reports to other areas on campus. That cross collaboration that the collaborative effort that we had to make that event a first class event was pretty remarkable. And of course, we had the preview of that championship event earlier in the year. We learned a lot from that initial race and made it better for the championship. So to have it on campus on the busiest thoroughfare in Muncie for people to see as those teams were competing was pretty awesome. So I am really thrilled that we were able to host that in the manner in which we did, and that we got great reviews from the league office, great reviews from the visiting teams, and really excited about the fact that we made it a first-class event.
Jeff, a lot of other events taking place around campus and off campus in visiting venues as well. Ball State Women's Volleyball is closing up on their season coming up. They've won 6 straight matches, though. This is a team that's caught fire that is coming up at the end of their season. They have 5 more matches to go. 2 on the road, 3 at home. Crazy finish to this MAC season for them.
So the MAC historically has been great in women's volleyball, but it is especially close right now. We are with a 9-4 record. We are in 5th place with 5 matches to go, but we're only a half game out of 3rd place, or a full game out of 3rd place, half game out of 4th place. There are 2 teams, Western Michigan and Buffalo, that are 10-4. We're 9-4, and the difference between 1st place and 5th place is a game and a half.
Yeah.
So it is that's really. I think that's right. Maybe 2 games. We're a little off rhythm with the number of games that we've played, because we've played 1 fewer game than some of these teams ahead of us. But we'll catch up because we play Miami next Tuesday, and we've got Toledo this weekend, and then we have Miami next week on Tuesday, and then Western Michigan to end the season. So it's a jam-packed league, particularly in the top half. The top 6 teams make the tournament, and we're vying to be in contention, not only to make the tournament, Mick, but I think we're in a great position to win that tournament as well. So playing high-level volleyball right now, excited about how we're going to do down the stretch and get in that tournament and see what happens. But Coach Phillips, I'm sure we'll address this on the call today, or the podcast today, and talk about how proud she is of her team and what she is seeing out of their development as the season progresses.
It's a crazy league this year because 8 teams are 500 or better, and the MAC changed it from 8 teams to 6 teams a little bit ago. So you have the competition between Ball State in the 5th spot at 9-4, Toledo and Ohio right there at 8-6, and then Eastern Michigan at 7-7. Bowling Green, Western Michigan, Ball State were the projected top 3 teams in the preseason, they all have a 6-game or 7-game win streak right now. So you're starting to see some of the favorites elevate themselves, but it's been such a wild season that 8 teams are really in contention to make the MAC tournament. It's a really deep league.
Deep league, and it's been fun to watch, and certainly we've been fun to watch, and so I encourage our fans to come watch us play as we go down the stretch and have more home games than road games.
We like that. We always like that part. What have you seen from the volleyball team, Jeff, in the last 6 games that's kind of helped elevate them to this win streak?
Well, a lot of it's based on we've been managing some of the athletes that have had some injuries, and we've put them in situations to maximize their output and to minimize the wear and tear on their bodies. So I think Coach has done a brilliant job of understanding the depth on her roster, utilizing her skill players in the best way possible, and they're starting to play a really connected brand of volleyball and have been doing so for quite a while now. And so I think the confidence is building, and they are enjoying playing together as a team. So it's a great way to be, and I think our teams historically under Coach Miller Phillips have peaked at the end of the season, which is when you want to do that, and we're certainly in that position again this year. So I commend our team and the effort that they're putting in to play their best volleyball when it matters the most.
This week at Ball State Sports with Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell, chatting cross country and volleyball so far. Jeff, basketball season finally tipped off. The men's team on the road against Georgia State, and then women's team was hosting Old Dominion on Monday, both competing in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. What were your overall thoughts from Game 1 for both hoops teams?
Well, first on the women's side, that game being in Worthen Arena, it was fun to see our women compete for the first time. They played a really good Old Dominion team. That team's predicted to finish 3rd in the Sun Belt. Very athletic, and we picked them apart, Mick. I thought we played really well. We came out strong early in the game, jumped out to a 10-point advantage, and Old Dominion chipped away, came back to within a couple of points, and then we pulled away again, and then really never relinquished any type of serious lead. I think we were up by as many as 8 for the duration of the game, and Coach Brady Selly was very pleased, I think, with his team's effort. I thought we played well. I thought we competed. We were tough, defended well, certainly executed offensively, and I think we can be better on both sides of the ball. So I think there's a lot of growth that this team will continue to benefit from over the course of the season. But that was a great way to start the season against a quality opponent. So it was a quality win. And on the men's side, I thought we competed well at Georgia State. They were really athletic. I think we were improved from an athleticism standpoint. Coach Lewis mentioned to me that he was encouraged by the way we played, certainly understanding that we didn't win, but the guys demonstrated some competitiveness that he said he hadn't seen yet in some of the scrimmages. So I think offensively we got sped up a little bit early, and once we settled down, kind of got into a rhythm, but we did miss some shots, but we got some good looks. I think that's encouraging. I thought we defended fairly well. So excited to see them in action live on Friday as part of that doubleheader. And then we've got a road test again at Dayton next week, which will be a great matchup for us as well. So basketball season has started, Mick, and that's exciting, and look forward to seeing the Cardinals in action.
Monday was crazy because of the start of basketball season, and I think the first tip-off was at noon that day, and then it just hasn't slowed down. It's great to be back into basketball season. Like Jeff mentioned, doubleheader Friday starting at 5 o'clock. The men's team plays Franklin College, and then right after that, the women's team playing IU Indy. So get your tickets at ballstatesports.com if you haven't yet. For basketball season, both teams underway, and the men's team back at home for the first time this year. Jeff, looking at football, there's 3 games left to go. 2 of them are on the road. Had a midweek action game to start off this 4-game stretch. What are your overall thoughts about where they're at right now?
Well, the Maction game was fun. That was my first Maction game.
That's right. That's right.
And it wasn't cold, but we did have some weather with the pouring down rain for the vast majority of the game. Appreciate our fans that came out and endured that deluge, and it was a competitive football game. So the nation got to see what MAC football is all about, and it was a nail biter to the end. I hate for the Cardinals that we didn't pull it out. I thought our team played really hard, and commend them for their continued play the way they are with a lot of confidence right now. And they're preparing again for another Maction game at Buffalo next Tuesday. That game kicks off at 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. So look forward to another national TV opportunity there for the Ball State football team.
Jeff Mitchell, Director of Athletics, joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Jeff, before we let you go, is there anything else you want to mention to the Cardinals fans right now?
Come watch us play. We've got great action coming up with basketball and volleyball, and our final home game in football on November 23rd against Bowling Green. So a lot of opportunities to come watch the Cardinals play. Look forward to seeing you and appreciate all the support.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you joining the show.
Thank you, Mick. Go Cards.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Right to left, the shifty guard pulls up straight away, three, sinks it.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Straight away, Trey lets it loose and buries it.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Drives baseline left, he throws it off the window and it drops in.
All the action all season long is right here.
Hey, Cardinal fans, welcome back into This Week in Ball State Sports. We have head coach Kelli Phillips joining us from the Ball State women's volleyball team. Coach, really appreciate your time as we get to the stretch run of the regular season.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
So 5 more games left to go, 3 at home, but first 2 on the road against the Toledo Rockets. At this point in the season, Coach, how would you assess where the team is at?
I feel really good about how we've been playing. We've been really, really consistent the last several weeks. That's something we've talked about as a team. Regardless of who we're playing and what our opponent is, we want to be playing at a consistent level. And I felt like we've really steadied ourselves out. We really have kind of fell into some rhythm of understanding like what our strengths are, what we can do on the offensive and defensive front. And now it's just a matter every day. It's just like how we get a little bit better. How do we fine tune some of those things to be ready to go and finish the season strong.
You talk about finding that consistency the last 6 games, 6 wins for you guys. Was it for you and the team more so just settling into some new players and new roles, adding some freshmen and trying to figure your way?
I think it's a combination of a little bit of everything. So certainly we've had some different lineup changes looking at the 6-2. We've had the freshmen going since the start of the year, but there's a reality of it takes time and it takes experience and it takes chemistry. And I think those guys, our newcomers, have continued to get more and more comfortable in understanding, what the league's all about, how do we go about doing things, and just have settled in and got more comfortable. As well as, I take a lot of pride in our team of we get better as the season goes on. And so we put in the work, we practice hard, we get better. And I think over time, those things continue to show.
You mentioned the 6-2. How did that all process shake out at the beginning, and then how have you seen it grow?
Oh, man, that has been, a progression of several different things. And so I think on one hand, we had some injuries and we were trying to figure out, how can we get some more point production, whether it's offensively, whether it's bigger blocking presence. We were also early having some struggles with consistency at the service line. And so we were trying to figure out, okay, who's going to settle into being a consistent service presence and not just keeping it in, but putting pressure on people. And that lent to, Lindsey Green has consistently done that for us in the practice gym. Katie Eganoff, the same thing. And so both of those, as we've translated into the 6-2, have played large roles from the service line, which has made a big difference. And then just overall, it takes a lot of pieces, but we didn't have like one single person that I feel like was just our go-to offensively. We needed balance. And so having 6 people out there that can score points all the time has made a huge difference in what teams are doing defensively versus us, how they can block scheme versus us. And that's helped every single player to be more successful in the offensive end.
And we've seen that throughout the course of the last few weeks with different players having their quote-unquote night to go out and score.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have to continue to do that. I feel confident that every single person that's out there can score at a really high level. We've got setters that can distribute the ball at a really high level. And the other piece is I think our passing has continued to improve. So as our serve receive passing's improved, that's allowed us to get the middles more involved. That's allowed us to run a variety of different play sets and not just have to be one noted based on our ball control not being there. So the combination of better passing, our setters just getting more and more comfortable with the different hitters and different roles that they can play, as well as our attackers just hitting good balls, hitting good shots, and understanding their role.
What gave you the confidence to be able to day one start Carson and Sophie as true freshmen?
You know, those guys, we watched them a lot of times before they even got here, and I felt confident in the level that they have played, the competitors that they are, and then you still don't know until you get them in your gym. And then when we start working, we only had, I think it's 16 preseason days. Those guys were consistent all of those days. And so that is the mark, you know, for a coach. You're looking for consistency. You're looking for who can you count on? What are you going to get? And even if the performance is, you know, it's going to continue to rise as they get better, but it's consistency and just work ethic, consistency and what they're going to do ball control wise, consistency in their demeanor and what you can expect from them. That makes a huge difference. And I know that also makes a difference to their teammates. And so that's something they brought from day one and had earned their way into the right to be in the position they are.
It truly seems like those two are sponges where they've leaned on their teammates to get better too.
Absolutely. They'll probably be the first to tell you I'm very, very hard on those two. You know, we've had some conversations because I know how great they can be, and we talk about that a lot. They play a really, really big role for us. They're 2/3 of our passing pattern. They're 2-6 rotation players. They have to do everything from serve to defend to serve receive. You don't get a break, and that is a large role. And I told them I'm very well aware of the pressure that comes along with it, but they are so capable of doing that. And they say after they're doing more, they want to get better defensively. They want to get better at a system setting. And I give them a lot of credit for staying tough when I know I've been tough on them, and they have stayed really tough alongside me. And it's made a big difference in their game.
We go from the 2 freshmen to a couple of transfers in the middle with Gwen and Allende. How have you seen those two find a home here?
Those two have a kind of the same thing, just came in ready to work, and that's made a big difference. And, you know, I really think our program culture is great with accepting people as long as they're all into what we're about. And those guys have been. It's about being a great teammate, working hard every day, being accountable to do things how we need to do them from a fundamental standpoint to how your on and off court behavior, and just being a great person, being a great teammate. And if you consistently do that thing, you're going to fit right in. Then you add on, they have great skills, they're great athleticism. And so each of them kind of brought different things from their previous institutions. And so just being able to meld that with, okay, this is how we do things. This is our offensive system. And they've been very, very coachable, wanting to just soak it all in and just dive right into being a part of Ball State and what do we need to do to help you guys be successful.
I mean, Allende broke the hit percentage record one of her first games inside more than Rita. Like, that's a statement, isn't it?
Absolutely. She was super proud of that, and I was happy for her because she's worked really, really hard on the offensive front. She's always been, you know, a big physical blocker, and that's one thing that people notice on her. But she has really, really worked to develop shots, to be a more offensive presence, not just wanting one particular route, but the ability to run a variety of routes, and she definitely earned that.
Head coach Kelli Miller-Phillips joining us for This Week in Ball State Sports, talking about their season and the crazy stretch that they have coming up. 5 matches left, 2 on the road, 3 at home. Coach, looking a little bit more at the roster, with Lindsey Green starting to see a little bit more time in this 6'2". Everybody's known Megan Wolosky as the staple of the last 3+ years. Lindsey's come in with the 6'2" and help work with Megan. How are you seeing those two work with each other and help that passing game?
No, I think they have done a really good job of balancing one another because their personalities are significantly different, and they find a way to bring the best out of those around them. So you've got Megan, who's just competitor, man. She knows what she wants. She's going to get after it. She is dialed in business. And then you have Lindsey, who's a little bit more bubbly personality, wants to talk more, wants to bring people in. And I think the combination of those two has helped the different personalities that we have around, because we have, some of the freshmen that maybe needed a little bit more of that communication to get them back feeling comfortable. And then you have some people that are veteran and more business-like approach to things that really have connected well with Megan. And then you see how both of them can work. You see how both of those things have so much value. You see how both of those pieces make us really special. And I also think that's a huge lesson for everybody. It's like being yourself. If you can be yourself, be your whole self, that brings the best out of other people. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just being genuine and being consistent in who you are. And I think just the combination of both of them has allowed all of our other players to really feel good about being themselves. And that's when you get something really special in the court.
We've seen Maddie Buckley be herself, especially the last couple of weeks, had a MAC Offensive Player of the Week honor recently. How have you seen her develop this year?
Maddie has put in a lot of work to be where she's at, and I think she's always been a big blocking presence. And one of the areas we focused on pretty early on in the season is, she's got to be a terminal attacker at a really, really high level. She bought into that. She was doing extra reps with me, and then suddenly it just clicked for her, and she understood, man, like I can be a huge, huge presence for this team. And I told her we needed her to do that. Like, you got to do that. There's one thing about being a sophomore. There's another thing about being a junior, and the reality of you got to step up. You got to make plays. You got to score. And she has really taken a lot of ownership in that, and has continued to just grow and grow, and is somebody that I think is got to be one of the most feared right side, if not the most feared across the league.
Yeah, she's showing it too recently. How about Anaya Kennedy? She won Freshman of the Year last year in the MAC, over 200 kills this year. How are you seeing her play?
Anaya, she's one of those people that her role has kind of evolved. And so she had an injury all last spring, was out. We just got her back when we started the preseason this year. And so I think her getting confident back in what she can do. And I feel like, I'm going to knock on some wood right now, but I feel like she's finally feeling herself, feeling healthy, feeling like she can move how she wants to move. And that's made a huge difference. She can score at a really, really high level. We've played her on the left. Now we've got her playing on the right. And I love the blocking duo of having her for 3 rotations, have Maddie for 3 rotations. Those are some big physical presence that I think has really made a difference in our defensive presence. But what I love about Anaya, she came in as a middle, she's played left, she's playing right. She is so willing and so coachable. Like, what do you need me to do? Okay, here we go. And she just goes after it. And so that's made a big difference, is her willingness to whatever we need, I'm going to go do it. And certainly her skills have followed that.
From a defensive perspective, have you seen that unit build from the start of the year to now?
That we put a lot of attention on that. We put a lot of days, a lot of reps into the defensive front. And it's twofold. So the front row certainly has to do their job in being a good blocking presence, being disciplined and following the game plan so that the back row can do their work behind. But then on the back row, that was something I was not really pleased with earlier in the year. I thought we left way too many plays on the table. And for us to be where we need to be, I said, we have to make more plays in the back row. And so we put more time in. And part of it is work. It's just work. Plus, you have 2 freshmen that understanding, getting the reads of the game. We have a couple different defenses, and I think we've continued to kind of work and tweak which one's going to best suit our team. And I hope that is something that I can claim at the end of the year is our biggest improvement, because I know we're putting the most time into that, and I can see it continue to rise as a group, and I think that is something that's going to continue to be something that puts us in a position to win championship.
Hey, Coach Kelli Miller Phillips joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, really appreciate your time. Best of luck in Toledo and the last 5 regular season matches before the fun begins.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Right to left, the shifty guard pulls up straightaway 3, sinks it.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Straightaway Trey lets it loose and buries it.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Drives baseline left, he throws it off the window and it drops in.
All the action all season long is right here.
Hey, Cardinal fans, we're back inside This Week in Ball State Sports with head football coach Mike New joining us. Coach, really appreciate your time here before we get more midweek action at Buffalo.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Mike, looking at that Miami game, I want to start off with Justin Bowick, because he's one of the positive and coolest stories that you're going to see around the Mid-American Conference this year. He broke loose for 160 receiving yards and a touchdown. What did you see from Justin this last game that really made you happy?
Now, really, more than anything, just happy for him. Certainly tested his patience, and I'm sure he was frustrated as the year unfolded. He got hurt 1 week before the opening game of the season. That kept him out for the first 6 games, so this being his 3rd game back. And, a lot of the things that we saw the other night on that field against Miami, saw that back in spring practice and was so excited and optimistic about, and I even made the comment, throughout the offseason and even when training camp started, that felt like this had the chance to be one of the best receiving cores that we've had, not only, from the guys that are starters, but also from a depth standpoint too. And so, and Justin was a big reason why, him and Ty and, what those guys were doing in the offseason, it was awesome. So I'm just happy for him. That he's able to get back out there and to have some of the explosive plays that he did the other night. It was just really cool to see. I know nobody's happier than Caden Simonza as well.
When you look at that first throw, 57 yards from Caden to Justin, he was close to scoring. He almost had 2 touchdowns in that game. But when he's able to run those kind of routes and he's beating guys one-on-one, it seems like there's nobody that can stop this guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, when you have a chance to watch Justin in practice every day, he's got great size, but what sneaks up on you is how deceptive his speed is. He can go, and obviously we track all these guys now with the GPS monitors, and some of the speeds that he's tracking in his 10-yard times, it's pretty awesome. And so he's kind of rare that way in terms of having that kind of size. And, he can also cut it loose. And I think, we saw that. Obviously, it was great on that post route for a big play and, stopped just short of the end zone. But that next one, boy, he was determined on that go ball to get himself into the end zone because he ran through some lower leg grabs and he finished the deal. And, boy, he's, we can get him going here the last part of the season. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Justin Bowick had the most receiving yards in a single game since 2018, and Riley Miller had 200 yards in action as well. So, Mike, when we look at what Justin's been able to do the last couple weeks, you had mentioned it pregame radio-wise, trying to just get him slowly integrated the first couple weeks. It now seems like you're comfortable letting him loose and go run the routes that you designed for early in the season.
Yeah, I think also, too, for him, he's got, obviously he transferred here, from Eastern Illinois, and so, this was his first game action. When you talk about his first game of the year, being on the road at Vanderbilt, that's not. I wouldn't necessarily, but he's got to get back into playing shape. Got to get back being adjusted to the speed of the game, and so you really start to see him settle in too. Because as much as he was staying involved mentally, you're still not able to get out on the practice field and do it physically, and so it's a long time to miss. When you miss 6 games and you come back out, our strength staff did a great job with him. The training staff did a great job with him, just trying to get him some real life conditioning. As he was starting to progress back, but it's good to see. He's settling in, and obviously the confidence now that he has from having a game like that and making some big plays, and hopefully that we can just keep stacking for him, and nobody's going to work harder than he will.
How about Tanner Koziel breaking the single-season reception mark for a tight end?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Again, credit his hard work, credit how humble Tanner is, and credit that he made the decision. At one point in time in the offseason, as we both know, he entered the transfer portal and was on his way or scheduled to go to Louisville. And, for him to come back and want to finish the deal here at Ball State speaks volumes about him and who he is from a character standpoint. I think it also speaks volumes about how he feels about his teammates and Coach Elliott, not only being the offensive coordinator, but his position coach as well. He's got a great relationship with Caden Simmons, and I think, their hard work that they put in, the bond that they've formed all offseason and ever since, Caden's been here and Tanner's been here, I think that's showing. And I think, when the game is on the line or we're in a critical situation, there's nobody that Caden Simmons trusts more than Tanner Koziel, and time again, he just comes up with big plays. So it was awesome for him. It was also great to see him be recognized as a semifinalist for the Mackey Award, one of the 8 semifinalists, which is an incredible achievement. But, I know he'd give up anything for wins.
Head Coach Mike New joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, I want to go back to the very first big play that happened in the Miami-Ball State game here on Tuesday. The pick six from the punter for Miami, Brandon Berger being right there. How did that play come together from your seat? Yeah,
and obviously, going into that game, knowing what weather that we were going to be facing, it pretty much rained the whole game, whether it be a drizzle to a decent downpour. So we knew that the ball handling was going to be a premium, taking care of the ball on our end, making sure the ball carriers took care of the ball. And then in special teams play, you knew there was going to be some opportunities. So you credit, our punt pressure team, and Coach Conley was quick to acknowledge that Brandon Berger is the one that caught the interception and took it to the house. But if it wasn't for Nathan Reichert coming hard right up the gut, and really he just kept playing, and he's the one that had the collision with the shield there that kind of forced him back into the punter's lap, and the punter ended up throwing the ball, and thankfully because of that collision that Nathan Reichert caused, and Drew Hughes, that ball kind of fluttered in the air, and certainly Brandon Berger did a great job. Sometimes those are the ones that are the toughest ones, and so him delivering right there and then taking it down the sideline for a touchdown, it was awesome to get the game and to get the scoring started that way.
Mike, we've seen the special teams group make play after play this year. We've had kick return for touchdown, block extra point, block field goal, now a pick six from the punter. This group seems like it's as comfortable as it's been all season long, and it really started off that way too.
It's great when you can get touchdowns coming from your special teams units. And, we work extremely hard. Coach Conley does a phenomenal job with our special teams units and preparing those guys. And obviously we spend a lot of time watching the tape with the players and making sure they know, hey, there's definitely going to be an opportunity this week in this particular area, whether it's a return, whether we have a chance to block a punt, whether there's a fake where we have a chance to get them, we have an advantage with numbers. So we work extremely hard in those areas. And obviously in Maction, we both know that who knows what the weather is going to be like from week to week. It could be raining, it could be snowing, it could be freezing cold. So, ball handling and the turnover margin is a premium, and that was a great way for us, to get that started the other night, and credit, special teams for making that happen.
Hey, Coach Mike New joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports, talking football. 3 games left in the regular season. Coach, with those 3 games left in the year, for you in your head, what's the next step for this team to get ready for this stretch?
Yeah, obviously the other night was extremely tough in the locker room. That stung, because we obviously were in a position there. We felt really good, when that 2-minute drive started. And, Caden's been so awesome in 2-minute drives this year, none more than a week ago with 15 seconds left. Made 2 huge throws to get us in a position to win that game on a last-second field goal. He's done it earlier in the season against Central Michigan. So we felt great as that drive got started, and obviously the completions and then the penalty on Malcolm that really put us in great field position. Had plenty of time with 2 timeouts. So it's tough, because we work hard on that every week in practice, every Wednesday in practice. But at the end of the day, we lost the game. We didn't make enough plays when we had an opportunity there at the end. But, we got to stay together here. We got a special team saying that we use a lot that, you're never out of the fight. We got 3 games left to play. We got to win out in order to get ourselves a bowl eligible. I say that because that's what the vision is. But the goal is to go 1-0 this week against Buffalo. Address the team this morning in the meeting. I love the fight of this football team. I love how you guys lay it on the line. We got so many guys walking down the hallway on crutches, boots on, wrapped up, banged up, but they just continue to lay it on the the line for each other, and I can't appreciate that enough as a coach. But we got to play great team football for 60 minutes to have a chance to win. All three phases got to do their job, and when we do that, we play good football and we win. And it's going to be another great challenge going on the road to Buffalo, next Tuesday night. But our guys, I know that nobody's going to stop believing. That Journey's got that famous song, "Don't Stop Believing." That's where we are right now. Don't stop believing. Don't stop fighting for each other. There's only one way to do business. That's the right way, and I know our guys will get that done.
Mike, how do you balance the vision versus the goal at hand? Because you talk about the vision, got to win out to get to bowl eligibility, versus we still have to take this one at a time.
Yeah, the biggest thing you can't do is put too much pressure on yourself. And the last thing I told him today is, you've worked your whole life to get yourself in a position to play college football. Make sure you have fun. Make sure you have fun, because when you start going and you start letting that pressure mount and you tense up and you go, we got to win every game. We got to win every game. No, listen, you got to just focus on the process of what it takes, because if you prepare yourself to the best of your ability every single week, then you won't feel like you're pressured on Tuesday night. And that's the most important thing. And it's easy to have a great process when things are going exactly the way you want them to go. What's challenging is to stick to it when it's not going exactly according to script. So just challenging the guys, man. The most important thing is focusing on your preparation here. That's the vision. We know what the vision is. It's not hard to see for anybody to see, but we got to handle our business, and that starts with making sure guys take care of their body when we come back to go to work for a Tuesday tomorrow, which is Friday. We got to make sure we're ready to go. We attack the game plan. We attack Buffalo's personnel. We attack watching the tape. And we have a great practice. And then we got to keep doing that all the way up to game time.
Mike, you mentioned Buffalo coming up. It's early in the week, looking at preparations, but what do you see from that Buffalo squad so far?
Yeah, obviously they are 3-2 in the MAC, 5-4 overall. Coach Limbo, who obviously we both know, you probably know him better than I do. I've met Pete, when he was the head coach here, and I came back as an honorary spring captain. I've talked to him a time or two, but he's done a great job in his first year there. And obviously there was a lot of turnover there, both staff, player-wise, but they've done a great job of finding a way to win in different ways. And they're getting better every week, and you can see that when you watch the tape. They did a great job this past game against Akron, and they've done a great job in MAC play overall. I believe they're +6 right now in turnover margin. That's big. You're going to give yourself a chance to win every week, and that's what happened early in that game last week. They forced some turnovers against Akron, really did a great job of getting a big lead there. Akron fought back, but they got a big lead on the road, and at the end of the day, it was just too tough for Akron to be able to come back from. So they're going to be well coached. They're going to do a great job in all three phases, and obviously, when you turn on the tape, you can see that. And obviously, starting with, the two middle linebackers are both over 100 tackles each. And, Sean Dolak is playing as good as any linebacker in this conference. And we just faced a really good one last week in Matt Salopek. So, again, they're obviously spending most of the time so far defensively, but obviously the quarterback who's done a great job as a runner, he's also improving significantly the last 3 or 4 weeks in MAC play. He's really improving a ton in terms of throwing the football, and so it's going to be a team that's going to take our best effort. We're going to have a great week of preparation.
Awesome, Mike. Appreciate you as always joining the show. Thank you and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gainbridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.